This is today's reading for the Vermilion Valley Vineyard audio devotional book, Walking with Jesus. Hello, my name is Curtis Hunt and I am speaking on the event recorded in Matthew 17 verses 14 to 21, Mark 9 verses 14 to 29, Luke 9 verses 37 to 43, where Jesus heals a boy possessed by an evil spirit. Have you ever had a pesky problem that just would not leave? This can be annoying and can challenge us when we are experiencing the limitations of our patience and our resources. When I was a child, my father had some sort of medical problem. After consultation with his doctor, he was referred to a community surgeon who could make surgical repairs to correct his problem. My father agreed to the surgery and it was scheduled. After he recovered from the surgery, the problem was gone. The surgery had been a success. All was well. Except that the problem returned long after the surgical intervention had corrected the problem. When it was evident that the problem was really back with all of the manifestations as previously experienced, my father once again consulted with his physician and the surgeon. As before, the surgeon scheduled the surgery that would once again correct the problem. As happened before, the surgery corrected the problem. Once again, the surgery had been a success and all was well. Apparently, the first surgical intervention must have missed something or was not as thorough as needed. Finally, having to endure the problem was a concern of the past. My father went through recovery and was thankful for the successful surgery that had finally corrected the problem. You can appreciate his relief. But then his frustration when after a while the symptoms returned. He was thinking how he did not want to go through life having the same surgery over and over. He knew that the tissues and the scar formations from the previous surgeries would not tolerate surgery after surgery. He was deeply focused on an approach that was different from repetitive surgeries that, at best, only offered temporary correction. His concerns were heard by his younger brother-in-law, who was a new physician and was in a residency program at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. My uncle encouraged him to come to Mayo Clinic for an evaluation before taking the next step. After careful consideration, especially since Mayo Clinic was a long way away, my father agreed to this step. He found that Mayo Clinic was thorough and methodical in their medical evaluation process. After a comprehensive clinic visit, they found that the surgeries he had experienced back home only corrected the symptoms and did not address the cause of his problem. They outlined a different surgical procedure that, while more aggressive, would correct the cause of the problem. He agreed to this more extensive surgery. After he recovered from this surgery, he never again experienced the original problem during his lifetime. The disciples failed to heal the boy. The public realized they had failed. Have you ever experienced a failure in your life? Failure does not leave us with good feelings. Failures can be demoralizing if we do not keep it in context. Failures can be embarrassing or humiliating if they are known to other people. If our failure is big enough, it can result in painful consequences. Someone said that failure can make us bitter or it can make us better. Would you agree? Clearly, we need to learn from our failures. We learn not to make that mistake again. We may learn that we might need some sort of help in the future to move ahead. We certainly do not want to withdraw and pull back from engaging with others out of fear of repeating the failure. In this story, the disciples found they could not give the man's son any relief from his affliction. Like the first surgeon, they thought they could resolve the boy's problem. However, it was something that was beyond their knowledge and skill level. They used the tools in their bag, but they found they needed a different tool that was not available to them. The disciples are confused and they lack understanding. The disciples asked Jesus in private why they could not cast out the demon from the boy. Perhaps they had a spirit of pride based on their past accomplishments that had just been destroyed. Maybe they wondered why it worked before, but not this time. Jesus responded that if they go into a spiritual battlefield with their own strength, power, pride, self-sufficiency, etc., then they have probably lost the battle before it really begins. Faith is experienced and exercised through prayer. Faith bridges the gap between the divine and human weakness. Faith is experienced and exercised through prayer. Times change, but the enemy uses the same tactics. Why? Because they work. Man's nature does not change. We behave the same today as men did thousands of years ago. Earlier I mentioned that failure can hurt us. However, it can hurt us in a good way if it drives us to Jesus, energizes our faith, and opens our pathway to prayer.